Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the February 13th River Falls City Council meeting. First thing we'll do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Christie, can we have a roll call, please?
Bierstead. Bjork.
Here.
Carroll.
Here.
Downing.
Here.
Morissette.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Odine.
Here.
Okay, next we have approval of the minutes from the January 23rd meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next we have the approval of the bills with Mr. Bjork.
Mayor and council, I'd like to ask for the approval of the bills of $2,650,685.80.
Second.
First and second, questions or comments on the bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we move on to public comments. If there's anybody in the audience, now would be the time to come on up and say your comments. We have, should be pieces up there with some, you can put your name and address on there and then also state your name.
Hi, my name is Melissa Abdush. Many of you know me as Mimi. I live at 859 Brentwood Circle in Sean Downing's ward, and I own a business at 113 East Elm Street in Alyssa Mueller's ward. I just wanted to take the time to thank the council for hearing our request this evening, and also someone that we often forget, Amy White, who takes an exponential amount of time to go through our request to make sure that we're asking for the right things and we have all of our questions in the right place and all the maps laid out properly. So I just want to take the time to thank that and for all the faith that you've put into us thus far for all of our past requests. So thank you for that.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. First thing is a resolution accepting public improvements for phase 1 of the Oak Hill subdivision. The next one is a resolution approving the River Falls business leaders' request for street closures for 2024 events. Next one is a resolution approving the River Falls business leaders' request for open container exemption for 2024 events. Then we have a resolution approving the River Falls business leaders' request for noise control exemption for the 2024 events. And we have a resolution approving River Falls business leaders' request for city assistance for 2024 events. Does anybody want to pull anything?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull number 6.
Okay, I'll take a motion on the rest.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of consent agenda items 2 through 5.
Second.
First and second on 2 through 5. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Mr. Morissette, you pulled number 6.
So the reason for pulling number 6 is mainly to address the costs associated with the event. I know I've had some conversations with Melissa, and she's expressed to me that they're willing to pay these costs. The cost will be, you will be paying for these costs of $1,659 per event.
Yep, so I believe our discussion was that we were going to split the costs with the city. Is that what we discussed?
That is not what I recall, but I guess that'll be something we'll have to decide. But so the costs are $1,659,
Okay.
and I guess we'll have to decide how we want to address those. But you're willing to pay.
Okay. Yep, we are willing to pay. We understand that there are additional costs, and if that is if that's what needs to be met, then that is what we are willing to do.
Okay.
So I apologize if I misunderstood the communication, and so we are willing to take on what is needed.
Okay, and you understand that's per each, the two of the events?
I do now.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just for the two, River Falls, Taste River Falls.
just for the two Taste of River Falls. It
Yep.
looks like the other one
Yeah,
we'd
nothing
be
for
fine
that.
with.
Because
Okay.
there's not much involved with the St. Patty's Day one.
Okay. So the cost that you're concerned about is for the Taste of River Falls
The
events,
two Taste of
the
River
two
Falls
Taste of
events.
River Falls events. Okay, and those costs were for the reserve officers.
It looks like we have a list of them in our packet. I can just briefly run through them. Public Works labor for a couple hours, police labor, and then two different things for police labor, 20 barricades, picnic tables, dumpster rental, temporary electric, and signage. Total $1,659.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. And then the city is able to invoice us for that.
That would be, yep, the clerk is nodding her head, yes, they can invoice you.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. And so, yes, I believe we are on complete understanding terms now.
Okay,
Wonderful. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
I actually have a quick question. So the resolution in front of us is for $3,200 for the two events that the city would pay, correct?
That they would pay.
They would pay the city.
They would pay the city.
The resolution in front of you
I do not think it addresses it.
does not address cost. Staff has
Oh,
recommended or suggested a cost. We included in the memo
Mhm.
an estimate. It's up to we don't have a policy. We have a fee schedule. And so things like barricades, picnic tables, the dumpsters and that, you've already covered in a fee schedule. So essentially we could invoice that without a vote from the council, but I guess we'd be looking for the council based on your past practice of kind of doing this as a public assistance. If you want us to charge, I guess we'd want some direction about how much you want us to charge, because that wasn't our plan.
I would be in favor of following past practice and not charging them for this, since we don't, it's a nominal amount of money that we would give, and I've been to both and they're both great events. Or I've been to two Taste of River Falls, I should say. So my vote would be not to charge them. If I understood it to be that we were going to be following past practice and not charging you. Is that correct?
I think we should have the question on the table before we have discussion. Is that what you would like, Mr. Mayor?
So if you put the resolution that's in front of you, if you motion that, the resolution reads at no cost. So you'd need to once it's on the floor, then you'd need to amend it if the council wanted to amend it. But the resolution in the packet is the use of these public resources at no cost.
So, Mr. Mayor, I would move that we approve consent agenda item number 6, a resolution approving River Falls business leaders' request for city assistance for 2024 events.
Second.
okay, got a first and a second. Questions, comments?
Oh, I'd like to have some discussion if we could.
Yeah.
This is not really about the business leaders individually. This is about the precedent that we're setting and the requests we saw last summer. We saw other requests for these types of closures and open containers and support by Public Works and different things. I think it's important that we set the precedent here because while this fee may be nominal, it is a representation that the city is providing some service and needs to be reimbursed. I think it's fiscally responsible of us to start that precedent and to put in place the requirement that they pay the fee, the $1,659 is presented. So with that said, I will make a motion to amend the number 6 to include language that would require them to pay the $1,659 per event.
Second.
Okay, First and
Friendly,
second?
friendly amendment.
Sure.
I might suggest pay the cost to the city of each event.
Pay the cost of this. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Parliamentarian.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. Is this for charity? Isn't that part of this? I think it might impede the charity if we just try to make up city policy on the spot. That's my caution. I don't think you're wrong about what you said, Councilmember Morris said. I think we do need some fee schedules. We talked about this last time too,
We did.
so.
I know it's been, I know it's been brought up numerous times by different council members that every time something like this comes in front of us, afterward, it's always the same thing. Staff needs to come up with some kind of dollar amount for us to look at. Staff took the time, came up with this. It's not perfect. It's not even close. And it's not even close to covering what it cost us. This is maybe a minuscule amount of the money we actually spend on these events. And I think we have to remember there's more than just 3 or 4 events. There's 25 events every year that we have staff go and work at. And I know staff, and I'm talking police, public works, streets, all those guys. And I know staff's working on getting us something better that we can look at and come up with a good policy. But I agree with Mr. Morissette, this is a place to start. We have to start somewhere, and I think this is a pretty good place to start.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Also, we do have a fee schedule that we have agreed on, so, applying it here seems to me to be in harmony with a policy that we've set.
Anybody else have anything?
I'll just follow up with the question about the nonprofit or the donation. There are other organizations that are also doing the same thing. And while we don't, to the mayor's point, this does not, why we came up with the numbers that are in here, this does not by any means represent the total covering of the cost to the city for these types of things. I was contacted by another nonprofit in town about picnic tables, and they were concerned about the fact that we were going to have to start charging them for picnic tables. And it's a well-known nonprofit in town, and it's one I'm very supportive of. But that's what has to start happening. We have to be fiscally responsible with taxpayer money here, and this is a small amount, but it's a step towards being judicious with those funds.
Agree.
Maybe we ask the question.
Can I,
Mayors.
I'm not sure where I can start talking or where I should start talking. Stephanie Johnson, I actually live in the town of River Falls, not in the city, so. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I really think that that's a fair plan, but I want to be, from the last discussion, there was conversation about the chamber, at requesting street closures. I think it needs to be across the board. If you're gonna have a fee schedule, for me, I feel like what you're saying makes sense and it seems fair. And it's not that we're not willing to pay it. We have talked about it and are budgeting for it, but I would like to see it applied across the board.
So the chamber and staff can help me here if I'm incorrect, but the chamber is a little bit different animal. The chamber is also the designated tourism bureau, and in order for us to collect room tax, we have to have a conduit to give tourism dollars to. When they get those dollars, the city takes, Mr. Simpson, help me out, 23%? We net how much of the room tax to ourselves?
Yeah, I guess I'd want to look that up to make sure
Okay.
I'm giving you the right information.
We take a portion of the
Yep.
room tax in to cover those chamber events.
Sure.
So the chamber, while I understand your point of view that, hey, wait a minute, why aren't they paying for it? We're collecting a portion of those room tax dollars to defray the costs that are
Sure.
incurred.
And I would say it would be a good business practice of the city to invoice them and have that be part of what's, a part of what is exchanged, the money exchange that happens.
I do believe,
So then it does feel fair to other
Right.
nonprofits and other entities.
I do believe that as part of this process, from what I've heard from staff and conversations with the mayor, we are working towards that. As the mayor said, this is not perfect.
Yeah, and you have to
But,
start somewhere.
Do we start going to that direction? Do we, how do we balance that out to make it, make it feel fair? Transparent. That's a good word. Thank you.
Transparent would be great, and that's what that's why I think having the invoicing process, with the chamber, if it's some sort of deal with the room tax exchange, I get that, but then it should be clear on the books and easy for everyone to see and understand. So then the River Falls business leaders doesn't feel slighted by what's happened or another nonprofit.
And I think where we're at today, we aren't at that point yet, but we are at the point where we know what our costs, what some of the nominal costs are.
Sure.
So we have to make our decision today based on that.
Sure. So when the next group comes before you, then the same discussion's going to happen, or you're gonna already say this is the fee schedule, and there's really not a discussion anymore.
Potentially, yes.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm
Cool.
making a point of it today is when the next group comes and says, hey, we want to do the
Mhm.
same thing, we can say,
Yep.
here's the fee schedule
Yep. Totally get it.
for parity.
Yeah.
I want it to be clear that I feel like transparency
Yeah.
and understanding how that billing all happens and invoicing happens
Yeah.
with the chamber along with the business leaders is a really good thing. Keeping everybody in the same sandbox and playing well together.
Yeah.
The goal.
Yep.
Thank you.
One last clarifying question. As you have this fee schedule that we're presented with it before we make our final request of this is exactly what we need, so that if the full $1,600 does not completely fit within our budget, we can decide we only need 4 picnic tables instead of 6, or
Yes.
so on and so forth, so that we can make those determinations prior to that June event.
I think this is a fluid situation, Mimi,
Right.
and I think that's fair.
Okay.
And I think the clerk is saying, yes, she can accommodate within reason.
Right.
I'm not sure about the police piece. I'm not sure we can do that.
Understandable.
But with the other things, I think we can do some à la carte things, or if the clerk has to bring it back for some ratification, she can.
Right. And the other differentiation between, say, business leaders and just another nonprofit is like what our focus is. Like our focus is also on tourism and economic growth. Like we're not here for like a focus on curing cancer or homelessness, or like essentially we're a mini chamber. Like we're a mini tourism committee is essentially what we are. So, looking at what type of organizations are requesting these of the council as well, I think is going to be a big determination of when you're making these decisions.
Yeah, and I guess my comeback to that would be all of these organizations, be it nonprofits, be it the chamber, be it the business leaders, all contribute to what makes River Falls what it is. So in some way or another, they are all contributing to a positive impact to River Falls.
I appreciate the great discussion.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council President, I have a question, I guess, comment too. So, we started out with this being the motion that was presented in the packet, and we're making a change to it. It's been, motion and second. What I don't like about it is it's kind of a policy decision in a way, and we're making a policy decision with not a lot of time of thinking of the specific implication. Here's what I mean. I would be curious to know best practices in other communities, because I don't think it's unreasonable for us to look at this as an economic development event. And if that's so, what costs are we willing to incur for these? I understand we will have one-offs. I understand it's a process that we want to tighten up and make better for the future. But I don't love trying to make the decision in 7 minutes of whether or not they should have a full cost, because why not 50%? Why not 75%? On top of it, you've already indicated, it's been stated that we don't think these costs are precise. So if they're not precise, I really don't want to vote on anything if we don't really think it's the full cost. I would rather have a full dollar so we can truly understand what is it. So if $3,200 is not the cost, then I would say we should start over until we have the correct one.
Okay, anybody else got anything? So I have an amendment. I got a first and a second on amendment. Everybody knows what the amendment is to pay the $16.59 for the two events.
It was
Per-
the
per
cost,
event.
it was the cost to the city
Yeah,
per event, not a dollar amount.
yeah.
That was the,
No,
how
it
you,
was, well, yeah. So did you say cost to the city?
I stated a dollar amount. Ms. Odine offered a friendly amendment, which I accept to say cost to the city.
Okay, okay. Cost to the city. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Can we have a roll call, please, Christie?
A reminder that the council should vote the same way it voted without the roll call.
Bjork,
Yes.
Odine,
Yes.
Carol,
No.
Miller,
no,
Morset,
Yes.
Downing.
No.
It's a tie.
Mr. Attorney, does the mayor break the tie on amendments also?
Yes, he does.
Oh, yes. Okay, and then we'll go back to the original motion of approving the River Falls Business League's request for city assistance for 2024 events. We have first and a second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next we'll go on to administrator's report. If anybody has any questions for the city administrator? Or Scott, whatever you have for us.
A reminder that we have a special February 20th primary election. City of River Falls residents can vote in person, absentee in the clerk's office, February 6th through 15th, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. Note that those are not the same hours as City Hall is open. Election absentee in person has specific hours. And then on February 16th, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Election day is the 20th. The polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. March 5th, the community is invited to the 2024 State of the City address at Tattersall Distillery. Registration is open for the State of the City on the Chamber's website. The presentation is free. If you'd like to join us for breakfast, the cost is $15 with $10 of each ticket donated to Our Neighbor's Place. Be happy to take any questions you might have.
Anybody got anything for Scott? Okay, move on. I got one announcement. I'd like to appoint Michael Gardner to fill a vacancy on the Utility Advisory Board through December of '26.
I make a motion, we accept the mayor's appointment.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we recess in closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.851E for the following purposes: deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. To wit, discuss negotiating strategy for proposed contract for the fire protection services between the City of River Falls and the River Falls Rural Fire Association. Can I get a motion on this?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we move into closed session.
Second.
Christie, can I have a roll call, please?
Odine,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Miller,
yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Bjork.
Yes.
Everything's off. No, here it comes.